Absolutely. And as I spoke here today, I talked about, my long-standing honor to be a member of the California Legislative Black Caucus. I chaired it for a number of years. And if you look at my legislative record in terms of poverty alleviation, my criminal and juvenile justice reform legislation, all disproportionately, quite frankly, impacts the black community. And so as a sitting member of the California legislature, as a candidate, I've been very clear that I believe that we have to have disproportionate investment in communities that have been disproportionately impacted by racial bias, by COVID, by systemic oppression for generations. And so I think my record stands for itself. And you're right, I represent a very diverse group. But I've been very clear about my commitment to equity, not equality.
Senator Mitchell, currently in the Senate, and you're running for LA County Supervisor, and you have in my opinion, a long-standing record of actually putting tangible items in the hands of our residents. And specifically referring to Crystal Stairs. I like to call you the Queen Crystal Stairs because most people don't know that is you are the one that birthed this. This is
I
the
was
one.
the CEO of Crystal Stairs for 10 years and was sitting in a budget subcommittee hearing as CEO of Crystal Stairs when I saw the legislature make a decision to cut $1 billion out of child care. And it was in that moment that I got mad enough and afraid enough and decided to run for office. And so all of the work I've done in the legislature comes from a place of community advocacy. That's what made me decide to run.
That's perfect. Is there, and that's obviously the case when, being that you are the CEO of Crystal Stairs. What do you have any other plans or anything else up your sleeve to bring those kind of things back to the community?
Well, because I was sitting in the budget subcommittee, when I got elected to the assembly, I wanted to serve on the budget committee. And once I got elected 2 years after that experience and that hearing, I found myself chairwoman of that very same budget subcommittee. And it took us 10 years, but working collaboratively with my other colleagues, we put that $1 billion back in subsidized child care. For the last 4 years, I've chaired the Senate Budget Committee, the first African American to chair it. And just yesterday, we were able to announce a commitment of $400 million, partnership with myself, the governor, leader of my house and the assembly, for funds to come to Operation Home Key to support our family, friends, and neighbors who are housing unstable, funds for child care, recognizing that child care providers are now having to provide care for school-age kids. And so we wanted to give them additional resources. We've already given them resources because we know that they are essential workers. And to make sure that there are child care slots for essential workers. So we'd already done $200 million a couple of months ago for added PPE and cleaning supplies and added hours. This additional $400 million will also go to food banks and diaper banks. So we're clear about, in this current moment of crisis, that it is not going to end overnight, that we are in the middle, we were thrust into an economic pandemic as well as a public health pandemic. And while we figure out how we get ahead of this virus, allow the economy to recover, government still has to stand in the gap and provide support to working families. And so I'm very proud of my budget work. While it's not sexy and people may not know it, when they're able to go to food banks and get additional resources, when they're able to have their child care providers say, bring your school-age kids, I hope they will know that that's their government at work.
That's you at work. And I just want to say, for your work and your history, I am very appreciative of it, and as an advocate, and I probably Jasmine agrees the same thing. These are the kind of people that we need as our politicians.
Well, from my perspective, someone told me once, you're not a politician, you're a policymaker. And I fully embrace that. I'm an advocate policymaker. I take my experience running a large county program for the Crystal Stairs Stage 1 contract. All of that frames the work I've done in the legislature. That has framed the priorities in terms of my legislation. I've introduced 118 bills, 90 of which were signed into law by 2 governors. And so that's the lens that I carry to the legislature every day. I didn't run for office for a title or to have to live in 2 cities and all that being in public office brings to bear, because some of it's not good. I didn't do it for those things. I did it to reflect the needs of those mothers and those child care providers in Crystal Stairs who didn't feel they had a voice. Now I know, in the example of me, they know, understand policy making, they understand the budget process, and they see an advocate in me.
The Hub.